Hello, hello, hello. How is everybody doing? How is everybody feeling? Welcome back to yet another Mojo Mondays. Or All right, today's topic, it's a little all over the place, just like all my other ones. So I'm not too sure exactly which the direction, because I do not edit my videos. I just go, let me rewind. I'll come up with different topics to talk about, and I'll have an idea of what I'm going to touch bases on. But I like to talk as if I'm having a conversation with someone, as if I'm on the phone or we're on FaceTime. I feel like, well, at least for me, when I listen to other podcasts, it just seems a little bit more natural, and it just seems more authentic. Like you feel like you're there in the conversation. So I have two little post-its. All right. So this topic, turn your troubles into insights. And then what else did I put here? Different, what? Patterns. Okay, I'm trying to read my little points here. But yeah, turn your troubles into insights. Turn your troubles into something beautiful and something magnificent. I'll give you an example. Growing up was very interesting. If you have been following my podcast for some years now, I do touch base on a little bit of my upbringing, and basically it gives you an outline of why I am how I am. But I share these things because I want to be an example, a muse. I'm here to motivate, here to inspire people, so that you can reflect back on your childhood and recognize these things, because a lot of us do not reflect. A lot of us don't have the interpersonal or intrapersonal awareness when it comes to ourselves and those around us. And a lot of us are just go, 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 go. And we act before we think, or think thoroughly about things. And then you're in all these different types of situations. And it's like, did you think about your actions? Did you think about the consequences, or the rewards that will come from this such situation? So I just wanted to pop on here and get a little insightful when it comes to recognizing patterns. And I noticed this a lot within my own family. Now, I'm not on here to down anyone, down my family, or anything like that. It really is an observation. When I was younger, I was, and I think I still am, the darkest of my family. A lot of my family members, they have a lighter complexion. Me and one of my other brothers are more on the darker side, but I can't talk about his experience. We have different fathers, and we didn't grow up together in that way. We would see each other, my two older brothers, we would see each other, me and the younger siblings, my older siblings, from time to time, like when my mom had, visitation rights and all that stuff, when we were much younger. So I can't speak on his behalf. I can't speak for my other siblings, but my younger siblings, they have noticed some things that we have talked about in our personal conversations. But yeah, growing up, I was the darkest, And of course, if you're different, you're going to trigger people. You're going to trigger people because you're different. Whether if you talk different or if you look different. I mean, if you look different to someone, regardless of how you feel about yourself, they might react in a way. People might react because it's learned behavior. They've seen their parents behave in a certain way towards someone else that is similar. So I've seen that a lot growing up. And I think because I've also gone to 10 elementary schools, I've seen the same exact patterns with different people, but they would remind me of, because of their characteristics, they would remind me from other schools that I've gone to and how the children had treated me. And although I didn't grow up feeling a certain way or feeling negative about myself, and I want to shout out to my mom. Shout out, Mom, for pouring into me and telling me I'm beautiful and telling me I have beautiful skin. And when I was younger, because I was out in the sun a lot, I was darker. And I mean, I'm dark now, and I love my darkness. I wish I can be darker, to be honest with you. But when I was younger, obviously I was darker. I was outside in the sun most of the time. So there was a point where growing up, again, you get teased by kids. I was getting teased by kids from the school and from my own cousins. So, I grew up just thinking like, wow, people are treating me a certain way because of the color of my skin, regardless if it's coming from strangers or your family members, people with the same blood. They're going to treat you a certain way. And also I realized growing up that they were treating me a certain way because, some of them were a little bit on the bossy side. I've always been pretty independent. I always liked doing my own thing. And, sometimes kids can say some mean or do some mean things because you're not doing what they're doing, And it's really sad because, again, I seen it. I seen it when I was a kid. Even before my mom and I would have discussions about this, and there were even some neighborhood kids who their parents would even be mean to me and my siblings, all because they felt a certain way about my mom. And I also recognize that, with the older adults, they would treat children a certain way based on their dynamic with the child's parent or parents. So I've seen it time and time and time and time and time. I've seen it so much where honestly, it made me lose faith in people to some degree. If they were to be mean to me, and I would cut people off. And that's why once I got in high school, I was already the queen of cutting people off. You can ask some of my friends if it's that deep for you. But I was notorious for changing my number. Every 3 months or so, I would change my number. And, for me, I was already practicing cutting people off because I've already experienced people treating me a certain way when I was younger. Again, not just people from school, but people in my own family who I had trust issues with. So I've gone to therapy on and off since I was about 13. A lot of kids I went to school with didn't recognize that because I was so internal. I would internalize things a lot, but I would also keep my distance from people that, if they were being disrespectful, because I've got to the point of not being so nice and then getting to the point of just being disgusted because people will treat you a certain way because of how you look, or because there's a certain benefit that you're giving them, or maybe a benefit that you're no longer giving them. So I've seen it so much growing up as a kid. And if you notice, those who've been following me for a while, sometimes we'll have our own private conversations about this. And you get to a point where strangers will see you in a whole nother light. And now it's to the point where, again, I don't trust anyone, because people will be nice to you, treat you a certain way because they're trying to gain something from you, even if it's not like a materialistic thing. But I've got to the point where there are strangers who would actually be more kind to me than people who know me, from relatives or from people who I worked with. Now, it wasn't always the case, because I've had situations where people I worked with, they would turn because, again, they want some type of attention from you, or they want some type of dynamic that you already have with someone else, but it's like a jealousy thing, and it's really weird. It's really weird. But again, when you recognize certain patterns from a young age, you see it over and over and over and over and over again, to where you're like, you ask yourself, like, man, am I crazy? Like, I'm seeing these patterns are happening, and now it's up to me to move differently. So a lot of my therapy sessions from back in the day, a lot of them is, of course, me talking about whatever situation at hand. And it was so crazy of how, again, the patterns, it'll be different people, same patterns. And some of these patterns that I've also recognized is the people who treat you the same, they stay the same. I'll give you an example. I moved back. Well, I'll give you two examples. When I moved to SoCal, I think I had a little bit after I turned 30, I moved to SoCal, and I was there about 6 years. And then I moved back to NorCal about 3 years. And I noticed when I moved to SoCal and I was around my family there, I was getting treated as if I was a teenager. And my oldest brother and we don't get along. And I thought, because I've gone through a lot of changes, I've done a lot of evolving myself, a lot of maturing. I thought, and I thought wrong, but I thought it would be different with our relationship as adults. And I had stayed with he and his wife, and it did not work out well because I wasn't being controlled. And that's what this person, my oldest brother, that's what he was looking for. He was looking to control and manipulate. And it was really sad because, for one, you don't need to do that with me. Some people, they thrive that way. They need to be controlled by someone. I've always been an independent person. I've always done my own thing. And it's not that I don't want to hang out with people or be a part of family or anything like that. But what it is about is I'm going to do what feels good to me, what feels natural to me. And if I feel like you're trying to control, manipulate, and change things because you're uncomfortable with it, then I'm going to leave. I'm going to leave. So long story short, I was being treated like I was a teenager. And even when we were teenagers, again, the controlling, the manipulation, you know, it makes me feel bad for anyone who chooses to deal with that, but it doesn't mean that I have to deal with that. So what do? They create a smear campaign, and that's exactly what they did. So, and I talked about this before, how my oldest brother, he would try to get other family members against me. He would try to get people who see me in whatever light that they see me, which I don't care. I'm being myself. But if me being myself makes you feel threatened in some way, that says a lot about you as a person. And that's what it was doing. And I would stand up in front of him and his family. I would stand up to him. And if I feel like I was being disrespected, and my thing is, I'm not going to bow down to you, to him, to anybody. I'm not, that's just not in my nature to do that. Now, I'm not going to be all rebellious and be like disrespectful and stuff like that. But I am going to stand up for myself, especially if what you're doing is wrong and you're refusing to see that. Now, is it my responsibility to point out all the things? No. Because at the end of the day, we're all grown-ass people. And I am responsible for myself and for my actions. But if your actions are destroying our bond, if it's destroying character and it's making me feel uneasy, bye. I'm not going to stick around. I'm not. I didn't even do that again when I was younger. When I was younger, and the same thing with pattern recognition, and you're recognizing these patterns from other people, and it's like, wow, you're acting sour towards me, but you're still expecting me to come around and kiss your feet and all those things. I'm not doing that. I'm not, that to me, that's just weird. It's really weird because, again, I'm not going to do it. That's just what it comes down to. And I'm not going to treat people a certain way and expect in return for them to bow down to me. So the very last conversation I had with this said brother, he said, "You're dead to me." And I said, okay, that's it. Now, I'm the kind of person, even when I'm upset, I have enough control, I have enough emotional intelligence to not make things escalate all because I might be upset. I know how to cater to my feelings. I've done a lot of work because before I would not cater to my feelings at all. I would just internalize things and then just become numb to it. Now, when I recognize my emotions, because I've done the work, again, I've been in therapy on and off since I was 13. I also have my master's degree in psychology. I am a coach. I am a yoga instructor. So I'm seeing all different types of people, their different types of patterns, my different types of patterns, and just being a very observant child. I recognize all these things to the point where, again, I can recognize my feelings, but not allow my feelings to take over my actions. Even if I get so upset, even in my toxic relationship from 15, 16, 17 years ago, I can get to a point, even back then, where I'm like, hey, we need a break. I want to go for a walk. I need to cool down before we start talking about this. The thing is, there are some people with control issues, anger issues, where they need to spiral out. They want to take it out on you because they feel threatened. They feel threatened by your presence. They feel threatened by the exchange that you're giving them. And because you're not reacting in the way they want you to react, they feel a certain way. And unfortunately, because they don't have the self-awareness and they refuse to be accountable for their actions, they're going to constantly try to put it back on you. And if they don't have any access to you, they're going to contact those who are in contact with you. And they're going to try to make people see you in a whole nother light. But the thing about me is, I don't care. I don't care. Because the people who really know me, my mom, my younger brother, my younger sister, they don't even entertain it. They don't entertain such thing or such conversations because they know how I am deep down. Now, do they treat me the same because of the dynamic? Yes. But the dynamic is different because we grew up together. There wasn't a gap between me and my younger siblings' upbringing where we weren't really growing up together, such as the difference between me and my two older brothers. They were raised in a different household than me and my younger siblings. And it's interesting because, again, even when they would come down to visit during summer breaks and stuff, the oldest one has issues. He has jealousy issues between me and the younger siblings because he has mother issues. He felt neglected. But my thing is, how in the fuck is that my problem? Not only that, our mother did not have any control over that situation. And I've had this conversation with him before, and I said, you act as if we had the best upbringing in the world. Everybody has had their downfall. And our parents, at the end of the day, they can only do the best of what they know how to do. But now that we're grown, let's put that energy into enhancing our relationship now. Let's put that energy into making ourselves better as adults. And the thing is, a lot of people, they are so comfortable in whatever turmoil, whatever chaos they're in. They're so comfortable. They're afraid to break free because they wrapped their identity based on that. Whatever downfall they had, that it's now their blanket. And that brings up this point here. They're going to treat you the same because they stayed the same. They're going to treat you the same because they refused to do the work. They refused to change. They refused to evolve. Now, I have not seen my oldest brother in 7 years. Yeah, I think the last time I seen him was 2019. And the thing about it is that I don't feel bad. And before, in the earlier years, I felt a little bad because, of course, in your mind, you wish things were different. You wish that you could take things back. And honestly, I wish that I didn't even move out there. I wish that I moved out there because I went through so much of a spiritual transformation once I moved out to SoCal. And then when I had the falling out with that side of the family, I didn't talk to anybody. I didn't talk to anybody. I didn't go around making a smear campaign and he did this, he did that, blah, 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 because I don't care. I like to let people think what they want because I know what happened. I know the truth. I've seen the stuff. I've seen the patterns. But does it mean that I'm going to go and spread the word? No, for what? What benefit is that going to do for me or for him? But again, this is what happens when you have a heart. Now, my youngest brother, we had this conversation the other day saying how I can be too nice, too kind. But if you were to say that to someone who's been on the other side, obviously, they're going to say, oh no, she's not nice, she's not kind, blah, blah, blah. And this goes to show how whatever situation or dynamic you have with that person, you can't expect other people to see that. So when you have a falling out with someone, whether it be a family member or a friend or whoever, turn it into something insightful, but also recognize that people can grow apart, whether if it's family. It don't matter. It don't matter when people say, oh, that's blah, blah, blah. It don't matter. We're not all meant to be the same. We're not all wired the same. We're not all, we didn't all grow up the same. And even after growing up, you know, a lot of us have gone through so many changes, so many different types of situations that made us grow even more, even if we weren't even trying to necessarily grow. But there's stressful situations or trauma that has sparked the interest of evolving. And it's unfortunate that it gets to that point that anyone would have to grow because of a downfall. But unfortunately, as human beings, sometimes that needs to happen. Sometimes you need a downfall to happen so that you can grow. And looking back, I feel like that needed to happen because, for one, I was being nice and I was overextending myself. And I don't mind being nice, being kind, being there for people. But there comes a point where people start to take advantage of you. And then again, they take advantage, is gimme, 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 gimme. And then once the benefit stops, now you're the bad guy. Now you're the bad guy, all because you decided to set boundaries. You know, now you're mean, you're evil, you're a bad influence, all these things because they're no longer benefiting from you. So when I look back at family drama and high school drama, relationship drama, because I am just a naturally insightful person, I made sure that I've learned some type of lesson from that. This was even before going into therapy. I would think about things and just think to myself, like, did I handle this properly? Did I, go over and beyond? Is there something I can do differently? Blah, blah, blah. And at the end of the day, it does not matter in which direction that you go. If it's not meant to be, don't force it. If it's not meant to be, people will decide to misunderstand you. Even if you took the time and energy and broke everything down, they don't want to. They're so upset, they're so mad because they can no longer control you or manipulate you that they are going to easily misunderstand you for the sake of keeping that drama, keeping that tension. But if you were to bow down to them, apologize, and all these things, then it's another story. So I'm on here to inspire people. If you've had a falling out with anything or anyone, what did you learn from these situations? What did you learn about that person? What did you learn about the situation at hand? And what did you learn from yourself? Thank you so much for tuning in to another Mojo Mondays. And again, if people are treating you the same, it's because they chose to stay the same. You can evolve and grow and all these things, but if they're not growing and evolving, then how can you expect them to grow and evolve with you? Bye.